Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Torch Tales, Stories Behind the Hood. I'm your host, Frank Vargas, aka Talking Frankie. Here I am in Canada, at Canada Welding Supply with Matt Crimi. Matt, thank you so much for taking time of your busy day. And the guy is busy, and definitely he has a lot going on. So not only because we came out of FabTech Canada this past weekend, so it's crazy just catching up and right into the whole thing. So just so you know, in case you don't know, this show, Torch Tales, is about the journey, the personal path into someone in the welding industry, whether you are a distributor, manufacturer, wholesaler, a vendor, you name it, it doesn't matter. If you're in the industry, I want to talk to you, I want to learn who you are, where you come from, why the hell you picked this industry, right? So thank you again, it means a lot that you're here. So Matt, I know enough about Canada to get in trouble, which means I don't know anything, I'm learning, right? So I'm going to ask the experts. First of all, where are you from?
I'm from this area, so we're
this area meaning
Mississauga.
Okay.
We're just west of Toronto. I grew up about 45 minutes north of here, so a small town called Orangeville.
Okay.
And I've been in this general, I'd say hour radius my whole life.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Wow, one of those born and raised.
Yeah.
I'm from South Florida. We don't have any of those. Now, growing up here and being part of a younger generation, because let's face it, in this industry, there's a lot of me and way older, right? It is what it is. It's a dying breed unless people like you come in. What were you into as a kid? Who was Matt?
Okay. So I was into motorsports.
Okay.
It was a big thing.
Gotcha.
So watching a lot of kind of shows on Discovery Channel as well, too.
Okay.
Monster Garages.
All right.
American Choppers. A lot of those got me into fabricating, welding,
Gotcha.
and watching racing. So Supercross racing was what I enjoyed watching
Okay.
as a kid, and so yeah, all kind of tied together at that age.
So gradually you're watching this. Was that something like, oh, I want to do that, I want to drive, I want to race, or I just want to work on the cars?
All of it.
All of the above?
Exactly.
What was the first car that you were racing?
First car that I was racing.
Doesn't mean that actually at the race, right?
Yeah.
We all do that in some parking lot. We know how it works. So the first car that you go like, ooh, I can definitely hit the gas on this one, and it has some kick.
So I was lucky when I was young. So I did have some opportunities in BMWs when I was young.
Really?
Luckily, not too many, not enough to get in trouble. And luckily, I got into trucks after that, which are much slower.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's why he's here now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So that's pretty cool. So driving such a sports nice car, and that gives you the first hint of like, oh, this feels good. Mm-hmm. So now, but I'm sure that wasn't paying the bills, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So in middle school, high school, even though you were now getting the idea of what looks fun for you, what were you doing to make a living?
So come into high school, I was just working, whatever job. My first job was working at a golf course. But I got quite lucky in high school. I had good grades to go to university, but didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do. A neighbor of mine owned a HVAC company, and was quite financially successful with it. And he actually offered if I wanted to help him on weekends, installing some furnaces, and I could get a little taste for it.
Of course, right? Yeah.
And instantly I was hooked on it.
So how old were you in that
I would have been 16 years old.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when you said that you were instantly hooked, meaning hooked in what? In sales, in the actual process, in selling, in the flame, like what? Hooked in what?
Understanding how it worked.
Okay.
So it's funny, like you grow up around a furnace in your house and you never think about it at all, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we take it for granted. Otherwise, it's done. Yeah.
Exactly. So once you start to understand how it gets installed, how it works, I really got interested in that, and then figuring out how to fix them when they were broken.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So because I know that you went to school, right?
Yeah.
Is that after you got exposed to this? Like, I might as well become better at this?
Yeah. So I did my last year of high school, I did a co-op program. So I worked and then got high school credits for working, and then went into a college program after that in the field of heating and air conditioning. Gotcha.
So I know what it is, how it is in the U.S.
Yeah.
Here in Canada, just a tad colder, maybe not needed 24/7, 300 and so plus days a year. How is that industry here?
It's a thriving industry.
It is?
Because we have all the seasons here, and then so I started in the residential side, so you need both heating and air conditioning. So you kind of have both seasons you're busy, then you have your shoulder seasons to do your maintenance and installations. So on the residential side, you stayed pretty busy, and then as I progressed
commercial, industrial, or whatever.
I got into commercial industrial eventually, yeah.
What was the one thing that you liked the most about doing that work?
Just being on the road and always having some new challenge in front of me.
Really?
Yeah.
Got it. So now you are doing all these installations and all that, and are you also racing for fun? Or you haven't started really that hobby yet?
Yeah, that was a little bit later. So I would say like through my apprenticeship, my cousin is in farming.
Okay.
And so a hobby for farmers is truck and tractor pulling.
Of course.
So that was the motorsport we got into kind of during our mid-20s. We had to leave dirt biking behind because, you had to wake up and go to work the next day.
Correct,
so
right, yeah. I want everything tight, yeah.
Exactly. So I had done dirt biking kind of like through my teens and into early 20s, but I gave that up. And then truck and tractor pulling was fun. We learned the mechanical side of things.
Okay.
But also got to compete on the track as well too, which was
fun.
fun.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So now here you are, mid-20s. You are now doing this for a living. Now you're having your fun racing trucks and all that. Because you're married, right?
You got married in my late 20s.
Yeah. All right. And you have a daughter?
Yes, that's right.
How old is your daughter?
She's 2.5 now.
Gotcha. And your wife is also part owner of where we are, which is Canada Welding Supply. And we're going to get to that in a second. Calm down, guys. We're going to get to it. For all of those of you out there that, what does he do? Where's the company at? I get it. I know what you guys are looking for. So now you are exposed. You are doing HVAC. You're doing all these things. What was your wife's background? Because I know since you guys are part owners here, I want to understand the dynamic. Mm-hmm. Where does your wife comes from?
So she went to university. She studied business and her focus was HR.
Okay.
So out of good
I get
balance
it
to have, right?
Yep. Yin yang. Yep.
She graduated and she worked a few different jobs in her industry. Eventually worked for some kind of larger corporations, and her focus was recruiting.
All right. So that I can see. Talk about perfect match now. So you guys met during college?
We met during college, exactly.
Got it. All right. So now at that moment, did you already had a vision that you wanted to do something on your own, or not yet?
It was always like I had actually started my first HVAC business when I was still an apprentice, and it was like just to do side jobs and stuff like that.
Okay, so you're promoting yourself, your work, you're doing your own thing out there, getting gigs.
Yeah.
How were you getting those gigs?
Word of mouth.
Okay.
At the time, yeah.
All right. So now you are entrepreneurial, kind of getting some things done on your own under your belt, and you get a taste of maybe either that freedom or calling your own shots. And when does that side of the business starts merging into what you do now, and how was that transition and why?
Yeah, so I think for me, like I said, I did have the interest in starting my own business and doing my own thing, but I also wanted to do it in an industry where I could do something a little bit different.
Okay.
And the way I looked at the time, prior to this opportunity, I was working for a large industrial refrigeration manufacturing company. And I was very proud to be working there, and I liked the way they did things. And so for me, I wouldn't want to create a competitor to that.
Gotcha.
Because I was already
you had some sort of loyalty to.
Yeah, and I was already working for what I thought was the best company in the industry.
Gotcha.
So why would I go out and try and do my own thing at that point, right? So I was kind of looking at what are similar industries that I also have interest in.
Can tie together, yeah.
And where is an opportunity that we can do something a little bit different.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So when you are saying this to yourself, what's out there that I can do differently, was the first thing that came to your mind after days or months or whatever of thinking was a welding distributor?
No, that wasn't the first thing.
So what was it?
I think the first thing that we seriously looked at, I was probably going through some ideas with my cousin. We looked at fabrication companies at first.
Okay.
Because he does have, obviously, a farm. Every farm has a welding shop on the farm, right?
Right. You're in the middle of nowhere. You got to fix things yourself, right?
Yeah. So we did a lot of, again, side hobby projects and stuff for local people. And so we had kind of looked at how do we turn this into something as well, right? And then it was through that time and that process where the local welding supplier that we were buying our stuff from put his business up for sale. He was retiring, and that was the first spark of welding supply.
That's where we're using these things.
Yeah, I like tools. I like this could be interesting, right?
All right. So that's the start of what it is now.
Yeah.
So that happens. How long was that transition? The guy's retiring. He puts it out for sale. You guys talk about it. Mm-hmm. From that moment on, how long did it take to create and become Canada Welding Supply? Because that's that was not the name before,
No,
right?
no,
Okay.
and we never ended up even buying that business.
Oh,
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, explain.
So it was basically by the time we found out about.
So that gives you the idea.
Yeah, but
That doesn't
business,
happen.
That doesn't happen. Yeah.
So then what happened?
So then Ellie and I are talking about it, and we like the idea of it, but how are we going to do it? She floated the idea of like, well, what about online and e-commerce, and especially in Canada, there was really no one doing it
Correct.
at that time, and so that was like, okay, let's try something here. Let's figure something.
What
out.
year is this?
2017.
All right. So the first idea is let's e-commerce, let's sell online.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, you don't have any lines. You don't have this any direct relationship with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, here's the idea. What are we going to sell?
Yeah.
How was that transition?
That was not I would say, in the beginning, it wasn't the hardest thing to figure out. I went and found brands off-brands that you wouldn't have heard of before.
Correct.
That were having trouble getting to market.
Okay.
And so we found, for example, Rasco FR. I knew from my time in the industry, I did a lot of work in the U.S.
Yeah.
And that brand was really strong in the U.S., but in Canada, I didn't even know it was in Canada
Where,
at all,
right? Yeah.
So they were one of the first brands that I started connecting with, and they were, very open to somebody selling their stuff.
Right,
so,
yeah.
So that was like one of the brands that we started with, and we kind of looked for opportunities like that in the beginning with companies that had a good product, but you couldn't find it anywhere.
That's amazing. That's such a great approach, and so different, because everyone wants, as you grow and you learn, everyone wants to tie themselves to like, hey, I have the same as everybody else, and which I get it. There are brands that demand and deserve that attention because they've done enough to create that marketing, right? So that was something that this is the approach. We're going to find the lesser known in this area, but good enough that we know that it's going to be a good fit for us.
Yeah.
And that has worked so far, right?
It has, yep.
So selling online, out of the house?
Yeah, out of the garage.
Just another company out of their garage, right? Now, so Ellie was always on board. Yeah, let's retrofit this whole thing. Let's start bringing merchandise into the garage, and we'll see what happens. He was always in.
Yeah, I would say that once we kind of saw that there was like potential there, we had to decide. We're at that point that everyone gets to where they're like, well, it's never going to grow past where it is if we're doing this as a side business.
Correct.
Do we go for it? Do we not go for it?
Because you guys were still working for other companies, both of you?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, got it. So who quit first?
She did.
Okay.
Yeah.
To do what exactly for Canada Welding Supply?
Everything. other than like the product knowledge, and that's always been my thing, is like the kind of industry and the product.
Correct. You've been exposed to that more. Yeah.
But she was shipping orders, packing orders, customer service.
Ellie, kudos to you. Kudos to you, Ellie. Now, how long did she quit? You guys are still making it work. One salary, the side gig. Just kind of see that whole process. How long before you quit yourself and you go like, all right, that's it? Yeah.
It was quite a while. Like I said, my previous career, I had a very good relationship with the company I was working for.
Okay.
I really took a lot of pride in being an industrial refrigeration mechanic. I worked very hard to get where I was in that industry, so
Gotcha.
it wasn't easy to let go of it.
I get it.
And so I first thing I did was made like a part-time deal with the company I was working for. Yeah.
Okay.
And they were fine with it.
But they knew that you were going into this.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was transparency.
They're one of our customers at the same time. So.
Win-win. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a great story. That's great. So part-time, now you go, all right, things are really getting there. How long she quits, you start doing part-time, and before you quit, how long before you guys move out of the garage and into where did you guys move?
It was 2020. We actually moved into our first like commercial unit as like a month before the pandemic and everything was shut down.
I know when you're saying 2020, I'm doing math really quick, and I'm bad at math. I'm like, that's pandemic. Whoa, really? That works?
Yeah.
So here you are. You don't know that this is coming. This worldwide chaos is coming, right? And you're like, we have this plan. We're gonna, and boom, you guys move in, and then world shuts down.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was nerve-wracking at first, I can tell you that much. But, I mean, from the beginning, we've been a small, dynamic company, right?
Yeah.
So The first month in business, we were selling masks. Like, we were selling whatever we could to pay the bills, right?
Yeah.
And then, pretty quickly, again, and this was, by design too, is when we got into this business, I knew it wasn't like a entertainment business or...
Oh, yeah, there's no glamour, yeah.
Welding doesn't stop no matter
Let
what.
me go work on the red carpet, yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
So, pretty quickly, it was obvious that the trades were going to keep rolling through the
Gotcha.
pandemic, and we continued to invest in our business. And
who's doing the sales at that moment, and how are you guys going out there to get business?
So we're primarily focusing on our e-commerce platform at the time, and that was we were so small and so young at the time that we were able to we didn't have to do much more than that just to start kind of building a customer base, and that was really the focus for us at the time.
All right. Do you think the same approach, the same plan you guys put together here in Canada would have worked in the U.S.?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think there was, even during that period of time, there was already some really well-established e-commerce welding supply companies.
Yeah.
So on one hand, no, but then on the other hand, once you get into an industry, you find there's always a different way to do things. If you offer a service or a product that's better than the next, you're going to get business. The perfect example I always like to go back to is if you look at microbreweries.
Yeah.
Right?
Throw a rock.
Yeah. And
you're going to hit one, yeah.
But they're doing their thing, and
I know.
They're some are more successful than others.
And it's a niche, and they just found that one ingredient that's different than the others.
Exactly.
Great example.
And I think it's pretty much the case in all business. It's some might be better to get into than others, but if you really want to do it, you'll figure it out.
Gotcha. What is your biggest strength?
Personally?
Overall, yeah. Personally, as a businessman, what do you think it's the biggest thing that you bring to the table?
I would say probably optimism.
Okay.
Which I need to be balanced out with.
That's right? Yeah. 'Cause calm down.
Yeah.
So is the balance your wife?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
It's the same everywhere. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change. Got it. So yin yang again. Now, the first commercial place that you guys got into, which was 2020, you mentioned.
Yeah.
How big was it?
It was 4,000 square feet.
Okay. And you guys were there for
2 years.
2 years. So you guys outgrew that just like that.
Yeah.
And you guys went from that one to where we are now.
Yeah.
And this one is how big?
A little over 12,000 square feet.
All right. And it's packed.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot of stuff. It's very impressive. It's very clean and organized. Kudos. Now, you had experience in hands-on work and somewhat on the use of tools. What about the actual managing people? Because now you have a crew of how many?
25 people.
25.
Yeah.
So now you are somewhat having people report to you. You have to every once in a while make tough decisions.
Yeah.
And how is that?
Yeah, it definitely a transition, and definitely the most challenging part of it. But I was lucky as well to have a lot of experiences through my career, and I kind of watched and learned from others to try and figure out what I liked and what I didn't. So I like to try and apply that to the way we do things here.
Gotcha.
And then I think over time you just learn lessons, right? You learn on things that weren't such good ideas, and then you see what has worked.
Yeah.
And you kind of grow as an individual. So for myself, it's been again why I wanted to eventually own or operate a company or be some type of manager at some point in my career, because I know the challenge that it would be, and
correct.
I was excited to face it.
And what do you think it has been the biggest obstacle that you guys have run into now in this somewhat long but still very short career in the industry compared to everybody else?
Just time.
Time.
Not enough time in a day.
Yeah. We all get the 24 hours.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And because you want to do more, or because you didn't finish everything, or like?
I think it's like I want to. There's so many projects that I want to do.
Okay.
And as a team that we want to do together, but trying to complete each one effectively too.
Yeah.
You can't just grab all these new projects and do them half-assed. You do have to do them one at a time, and it takes time.
I know.
And things move slow sometimes, right? And it's
I know. Are you good at delegating, or are you one of those that by the time I explain that, let me just get up and go do it?
I try to delegate as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, and I'm also that. Like I I can just do this quicker myself.
I know, because it happens to me all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's, the business. I've worked for small businesses where the owners wouldn't give anybody any.
And they're always.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just blow a gasket. Yeah.
Exactly, and we there's no doubt like we wouldn't be, where we are today if we hadn't started.
The help.
Yeah, exactly, and the longer we're a company, the more we grow, the more experience our team has. The more we can do, which is exciting.
So I'm assuming because of the idea, you are employee 1, Ellie's employee 2.
More or less.
Tight,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not 50-50. Who's employee 2?
The first.
And is that person still with you guys?
No, it was a warehouse associate.
Okay.
And
right.
So they were with us for a couple of years.
Gotcha. Because I think I met Chuck, and Chuck said that he's employee 4 or something like that.
Right. That's right.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. That's awesome. Now, you said you worked in the U.S. For a while. I guess you were just crossing in and out, or just actually you lived there and worked there.
Yeah. I was just doing projects.
Based. Got it.
Yeah. So I was based in Canada. Still,
okay.
But coming down.
Now that you are in this industry for a few years, you've worked there. You worked there before. You go to Fab Techs there and some shows. What do you think is the biggest difference between Canada market and U.S. market? Your opinion, of course.
I think that, again, just an opinion.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The market is so big down there
that,
like our model, I don't think it would necessarily work, or it's not necessary down there because the consumer has like access to so many different vendors. Where here in Canada, the way we operate our business is we do like I'd say a low volume of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And in the U.S., you can have
2-3 lines.
2-3 lines and just bang out the volume, right? Which is just not possible. We don't have the market for it. Like,
got it.
Canada has less population than California.
I know, right? Which is crazy. Mass land, I've driven from west to east, and you name it, and this mass land and just vast emptiness, that's okay, it makes sense, because I didn't know that until a few years back. I'm like, how come it's so big, but it's a quarter of what we have, right?
Yeah.
It's just insane. Now, here you are, 2017, 2020, boom, that's when things really, let's go for it. 2024 now, is the growth has been, it seemed like it was big from 2017, 2020, and then 2 years later, you guys moved here. Is the growth now being just steady growth, or already it's also on steroids?
I would say like relatively steady. We've never kind of tried to push too hard.
Okay.
We've always had a growth mindset, and have always positioned ourselves that we want to see the business grow, but we also don't want to get too big, too fast, get into a situation where, the business
you're not servicing the right way.
No, and like a big thing here is, we have a really healthy culture with our employees, and a lot of that comes down to, they're all working flat out, but also like to a point where they know they're supported.
Gotcha.
And if we try to like do too much, you can see pretty
something's going to
quickly,
go through the cracks.
Yeah, exactly. So we're balancing, the growth with, trying not to do too much all at once.
So with that being said, that the growth has been steady, where would you like to see Canada Welding Supply in the next 5-10 years?
So I think a big thing I'd like to see us known for is being the go-to in Canada for the technical welding problems. Right? We take.
So you're trying to hire talent, or at least train the people to make sure that they're not just selling you a product, that they can stand behind it and say,
we're selling a solution.
This is where you push that button.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I love that. Now, how was the transition? Because when you started the business, then you have a daughter, 2.5. How's that balancing act between home, daughter, wife, business?
For us, I think the timing of everything was key.
Really?
Because like now, with the way we live our life, it would have been very hard to do what we did a few years ago, working full time and starting a business as well. Because it was usually wake up early, work for a few hours, go to work during your day, and then come home and work at night again.
Pack boxes,
And I just, having a daughter, I want to spend time with her. I don't want to be, at work all the time, right? So 5:30, I'm out of here. I get home as quick as I can. And
would you guys like to have more kids?
Time will tell.
Yeah,
that's not fully up to me.
Good answer. Now, the balance here of work Ellie and yourself, do you guys bring a lot of the work home?
It's impossible not to.
Correct.
Yeah. Like we catch ourselves just, we're on a day, we're talking about something else, and then a work topic comes in, and then the next thing you know, we're talking about work.
That
right?
lane, right?
So we try to check ourselves as much as possible and kind of steer the conversation back out of it. But it's one thing, like when you're business, it's part of your life, and
it is.
That's part of the deal, right?
Like right. You can't really
that.
disconnect 100%. It doesn't matter who you are. It's your livelihood. It's blood and sweat. So aside from this, your home, you guys are not talking about Canada Welding Supply, personal quality time. What are you into for fun? What do you do?
Together?
Together and separately.
So separately, again, it's motorsports. So,
okay.
Or racing of some type. So mountain bike racing is nice too.
Gotcha.
Some exercise.
Yeah.
Together, we definitely like traveling and eating nice food.
Well, if you guys know me, that's now he's talking my language, right? Traveling and eating. Sorry, guys. What's your favorite kind of food?
Italian food.
Italian.
For sure.
Is that where your last name comes from?
Yeah.
Are you born and raised here, or are you second, third?
I'm born and raised here. My father was born in Sicily. So
really? And where's Ellie's parents from?
She's Iranian.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
Persian, yeah.
Gotcha.
And she was born there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So she's bilingual?
She is, yes. She can speak the language, but...
Do you speak any Italian?
No. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, a couple words here and there.
I know, it happens. It happens. Your daughter, what is she into, being 2.5?
She's into Disney characters, Peppa Pig.
Because that's why when you guys go to Orlando for FabTech next year, this year, you guys are going to the park, right?
Yeah, so she's excited to see Cinderella.
She's going to have a black... Have you guys been there before?
No, first time.
Not even? Like
Never.
Before?
Never.
Oh, so it's everyone's first time?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are going to have a blast.
Yeah.
So you go to FabTech, and you guys are going to do a family trip, tied to the whole thing, I get it. But when you go to FabTech US, what are you trying to get in that market? What are you trying to learn from that versus, I already go to FabTech Canada?
Yeah.
What are you trying to get out of it?
So for me, it'd be networking, mostly. Obviously we have so many contacts in the industry now, so it's a lot of, checking in with what's the new stuff they got.
Gotcha.
For us, our vendor relationships are very important. So even if it's just a coffee or a dinner, sometimes that has more value than anything else too.
It really does.
It's important. Also, I like to see what are the trends that are, that show might be 6 months or a year before ours, so what's trending at this show now?
It's going to come back to here,
Yeah, exactly. Like handheld lasers and cobots have been a big trend the last couple of years, and this is our first show since 2022.
That's right.
So, we knew coming into this one that it was also going to be a big thing, at this show as well.
Gotcha. So aside from FabTech, both Canada and US version, do you do any other shows?
Yeah, we do Motorama, which is a local car, aftermarket car show.
Gotcha.
That's the only one we've done yet, and then next year we're looking at also doing mechanical contractor show too.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, how many sales guys do you guys have?
So we have 5.
5. And are they actually out there hitting the pavement and just visiting customers, creating these relationships?
Yeah, so we have one rep who is strictly out of the office.
Okay.
And then our other 4, essentially Chuck included, our sales manager, is going to be in-house. So Chuck's overseeing the team, and then we have 3 reps that are on the counter / in the store.
Gotcha. What are your how does your day looks? So you have Chuck, sales manager, you got sales guys also out there. What is your day intake?
So right now, it's pretty much checking in with the leaders of each team and the different components of the business, understanding what they're going for. Usually there's going to be little projects they need me to do for them. And then a lot of kind of product development, I'd say. I spend a lot of time, managing the relationships with our vendors. What are the new products coming in? What are we adding to our offering? And then how does that strategy, correlate with the marketing team? What are they doing with all of these new products and promotions that they're focusing on? So,
gotcha.
A lot of connecting different teams and.
Got it. And now that you have a showroom here, do you guys get a lot of walk-in? Do people now know, hey, these guys, let's go and get the products there versus online, or that's still 80-20, 70-30? What's the ratio? And is it growing? The food market, is it growing?
Yeah, for us, the growth kind of runway is going to be in the more of a traditional way,
of course,
having more reps, more stores.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, we want to like e-commerce to be, the focus of our company. Yeah, that's the center, and then from there we kind of grow out into, doing business in a more traditional way as well.
Gotcha. What is the customer base in this area, and how far do you guys reach?
So, in this area, like in Ontario, it's massive. There's big manufacturing sector, so then there's industries that support manufacturing.
Okay.
Then there's construction with the city of high rise. You have structural, mechanical. You have agriculture when you get outside of the cities, and then we do serve all of Canada. So we do touch in on the oil and gas a little bit. We touch in on there's some big agricultural manufacturing companies kind of out west. We have the shipyards on the two coasts of the countries as well that we service a little bit as well too. So the industry is wide, and we don't say no to any challenge. So whatever opportunity is there, we're going to look at it for sure.
So I own a huge metal fab or a shipyard, whatever, and you come in, hi, and Matt. What else? What's the so-called sales pitch for Canada Welding Supply?
It's really nothing complicated, honestly. It's we want to understand your business so that we can make sure that we have solutions that maybe you haven't seen or heard of yet. We want to make sure that we understand what you're using so we can have it available for you at any time. We want to make it easy for you as well. Like how do you like shopping? Do you like a quote, an RFQ, and a PO? We'll do it that way. Do you want your team to shop online? Because they can. So we try to just make it as easy as possible and make that the welding supplies should be like the last thing that a manufacturing company is worried about, right? Correct.
I totally get it. And so because of that answer, and because I saw the back of the warehouse, you like to keep stock, right? You believe in keeping stock because a lot of distributors, they'll just keep 1-2 things, and people always got to wait. Is that something that you saw, that you suffer, and either working for somebody else, and then you go like, you know what, if I ever do something like this, I'm going to make sure that my customers, once I know what they use, what they have, like I got enough to cover their needs. Because it takes commitment and it takes money tied up on those shelves, which is why most distributors are like, I prefer the cash in my bank account and then I'll play with it as I go. But having all that inventory there, does that worry you here and there? Just no?
No. Like I said, when I was in the industry, there was a couple things. One was, you were stuck if you couldn't get what you needed quickly.
Correct.
And then the other one was, if you went to a counter and, not every counter rep can be the most knowledgeable person in the world. Let's be realistic. But also, like, they needed to be at least a little bit interested in what they were selling you and on the ball and able to help you out. So I think the two things for me was that relationship of, I would go out of my way when I was on the road to go to a supplier that had good counter reps, that, knew the products they were selling, or getting some training, versus going to the ones where, like, there was a new person on the counter every day. You didn't know their name, and like I said, markets are different.
Correct.
Employment in different areas it's easier said than done, but that's something we focused on trying to do.
That's awesome. And I promise you, we're almost done. Are you part of any buying group?
We're not.
No. Okay. And you like to keep it that way, or you just not? It hasn't really.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what GATA is?
Yeah, I'm familiar. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever thought about that, or you don't know enough to know what that is?
Basically, that's it. I do know. I don't know what the benefits of us would
Got
be.
it. Yeah. Okay. I ask because, every once in a while, it's just a matter of that, not knowing enough, what can I get out of it and all that, and I'll tell you off camera what my thinking is about those two things.
Sure.
So you can at least know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of competition here in your area?
Yeah,
you
definitely. The GTA is like, it's a huge market, but it's also a very competitive market. We have, within 5 minutes, drive this way or that way, there's 2 more gas and welding suppliers. But again, it's a big market. There's a lot of opportunities, so you just need to, again, do a better job than
you don't have gas, do you?
We don't sell gas, no.
Is that ever crossed your mind?
One day.
Okay.
Again, it comes back to what I said earlier, where it's like I want to do something in the market that differentiates us from everybody else.
Gotcha.
And right now, selling gas is the same as everyone else. Right?
Correct.
So there'll be a time that it makes sense and,
Yeah.
and we do it, but right now it's just not. We have so many other things that we're focused on that it's
Gotcha.
not a high priority for us.
Cool. Well, I got to tell you, me looking from the outside looking in and just kind of meeting you for the first time 2.5 years ago or so and kind of following you through social media, and I'm always kind of just keeping trends and see how much engagement people are having, how much at the shows themselves, how people are engaging with that company. And I got to tell you, I'm impressed with how you guys are handling yourselves and where you guys have come to so far, because I get to travel all of the U.S., most of Canada, and you see steady companies been there for a long, long time. This is what they do, and that's it. And hey, if you work for them, great. But they're kind of always just in that one lane, and so it's nice and refreshing to see someone not only younger, but also that has a kind of old school mentality. The service, keeping stock, and all that other stuff. So it's nice to see, because the more guys like you do well, the more that we all do
The
well.
industry does well, yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So we need that whole 360 combination of everyone in it. So I want to thank you for saying yes on taking half hour, 35 minutes of your time. It means a lot, because it's my own personal thing, and I just love sharing the story of people like you in this industry. Because if it can spark the light on somebody else and spark the torch on somebody else, hey, there it is. The industry is in good hands. There's that newer generation making it happen. So, thank you guys. Matt, thank you, brother, for saying yes. Guys, I'll see you somewhere else with somebody else, because this is how it works. I keep asking, they keep saying yes, and I keep talking. That's it. All right, guys. See you soon.